Hello everyone, we are going to talk about strategic interaction. In the last section, we talked about how uterans in conversations are used to perform certain kinds of actions like greeting, requesting, inviting, warning, and apologizing. But usually, these actions taking alone do not constitute conversations. Conversations happen when multiple actions are put together to form activities. We chat, we debate, we flirt, we counsel, we gossip, we commiserate, and we do many other things in our conversations. At the same time, we use conversations to show that we are certain kinds of people and to establish and maintain certain kind of relationship with the people with whom we are talking. We do not, however, engage in these activities and construct these identities and relationships all by ourselves. We must always negotiate what we are doing and how we are being with people with whom we are interacting. We call these methods we use to engage in these negotiations conversational strategies. In this strand, we will focus on two kinds of conversational strategies, face strategies and framing strategies. Face strategies have to do primarily with showing who we are and what kind of relationship we have with the people with whom we are talking. Framing strategies have more to do with showing what we are doing in the conversation, whether we are, no, for example, arguing, teasing, flirting, or gossiping. As we shall see, however, face strategies also contribute to the management of conversational strategies, especially those involving face-threatening acts. In framing strategies, often central to the discursive construction of identity. These two concepts for analyzing how we manage conversations come from an approach to discourse known as interactional sociolinguistics, which is concerned with the sometimes very subtle ways people signal and interpret what they think they are doing and who they think they are being in social interaction. It is grounded primarily in the work of an anthropologist, John Gompers. So, John Gompers, who drew on insight from anthropology and linguistics, as well as the fields of pragmatics and conversation analysis that we discussed in the previous section. One of the most important insight Gompers had was the people belonging to different groups have different ways of signaling and interpreting cues about conversational identity and conversational activities. And this can sometimes result in misunderstandings and even conflict. Not surprisingly, interactional sociolinguistics has been used widely in studies on intercultural communication, including some of the early studies by Gompers himself of communication between Anglo-British and people of South Asian origin in UK. Social identity is a complex topic and one that we will return to later on this book. For now, we will focus on the one fundamental aspect of identity, the fact that our identities are always constructed in relation to the people with whom we are interacting. Some people are our friends and others are complete strangers. Some people are our superiors and others are our subordinates. When we talk, along with conveying information about the topic about which we are talking, we are always conveying information about how close or distant from the people with whom we are talking. We think we are along with information about whether we are social equals or whether one has more power than the other. The strategies we use to do this are called face strategies. The concept of face in its more everyday sense will be familiar to many readers, in terms of often used to denote a person's honor or reputation. Many cultures have the notions of giving people faces, and losing face. The definition of face we will be using here, while not far from the more everyday meaning, is based primarily on the work of Goffman and other social scientists. We define face as the negotiated public image mutually granted to each other by participants in a communicative event. There are three important aspects to this definition. The first is that one's face is one's public image, rather than one's true self. This means that the social image that constitutes face is not the same in every interaction in which we engage. We wear different faces for different people. The second important aspect of this definition is that this image is negotiated. That is to say, it is always the result of a kind of give and take with the person or people with whom we are interacting. And throughout a given interaction, the image that we present and the images others project to us undergo multiple adjustment. Finally, in this image is mutually granted. In other words, successfully presenting a certain face in interaction. So, it depends on people with whom we are interacting, cooperating with us. There are basically two broad kinds of strategies we use to negotiate our identities and relationship in interaction. The first we will call involvement strategies. They are strategies we use to establish or maintain closeness with the people with whom we are interacting, to show them that we consider them our friends. This includes things like calling people by their first names or using nicknames, using informal language, showing interest in someone by, for example, asking personal questions and emphasizing our common experience or point of views. While such strategies can be used to show friendliness, as we will see in the next section, they can also be used to assert power over people. Teachers, for example, often use strategies when interacting with young students, and bosses sometimes uses them when interacting with their employees. The second class of face strategies is known as independent strategies. These are strategies we use to establish or maintain distance from the people with whom we are interacting, either because we are not their friend or more commonly because we wish to show them respect by not imposing on them. They include using more informal language on the terms of address, trying to minimize the imposition, being direct, apologizing, and trying to depersonalize the conversation.